Sixth grade Excel, lesson 134, using rounding to estimate quotients. This is a tricky lesson. You're going to want to pay real close attention. Probably watch this video about 5 or 6 times to get this one down. Anyway, here's a big giant division problem. Since the divisor is a 3-digit number, rewrite both numbers rounded to the nearest hundred. So this number right here goes to the hundreds place. So I'm going to round this number also to the hundreds place. I'm rounding them both to the place of the last digit on the left of the divisor. So 283 rounds to 300. 11,532 rounds to 11,500. I'm rounding both of them. Simplifying by powers of 10. So that means I can divide both of these by 10 and then divide by 10 again. So basically I'm dividing by 100 and I'm making the problem into 3 into 115. So 115 divided by 3 is going to come up with a very similar answer to 11,532 divided by 283. This is like estimating the answers to division problems that are big, giant division problems. That's what I'm doing here. Okay, then the next step is that I am going to actually put a 0.0 on the end of this so that I can find out what the next number out here is. And then I should be able to do this problem pretty quickly. 3 into 11, that goes 3 times. That's 9, left over of 2. 3 goes into 25. 8 times, that's 24. Left over of 1. 3 goes into 10. 3 times. And I don't need to do any of the subtraction at that point, but I get 38.3. And I'm going to round that off to 38. So 38, as they show you here, is the answer that I would expect to this big problem should be about 38. And you can see that when they do the problem here, 283 into 11,532, they get 40.7, which is approximately equal to 41. And these two answers are pretty stinking close to each other. They're not exactly the same, but pretty close. And remember, estimates are used to approximate answers and are not the exact answers. Computers and calculators provide answers that are only as good as the data you enter. In other words, if you make a mistake when you push the buttons, you're going to get a wrong answer. If you make an error entering the numbers, your answer will be incorrect. By knowing how to estimate, you can determine if your answers are reasonable. In other words, if you can do this kind of in your head, then when you punch this one in on a calculator, you'll know, like, wait a minute, I got an answer of 465. That couldn't be right, because the answer should be close to 38. By estimating, you know that you punched in something wrong. Okay, now we're going to do some of these problems. Here are the samples. This is 42 into 3,172. On your daily work, they're going to give you 2 more division brackets, and you're going to do this in the other division brackets. Watch what happens, okay? The 42 is going to round to 40. Now, since I rounded to the tens place, I rounded the tens place in the dividend. So I round this to 3,170. Okay, then what I'm going to do is drop off a 0 on each one. You drop off as many zeros as you can, as long as you can do it to both of them. So then I put 4 into 317. You can see that right here. 4 goes into 317. This is division estimation, okay? 4 into 317, and then I add a 0.0 on so that I can get another number out here to know how to round this number. And I do 4 into 31 goes 7 times, that's 28, remainder 3. 4 into 37, that's 9 times, which is 36, remainder of 1. 4 goes into 10, 2 times. So the answer of my estimation is 79.2, or rounded off to 79. Now when you do this work and you go to reach consensus, all of this must be exactly the same as the other person that you're comparing with. Here's another example, 581. I'm going to round that to the hundreds place, so I'm going to round this to the hundreds place. 581 rounds to 600. 4,265 rounds to 4,300. That 6 tells the 2 to bump up to a 3. Then I'm going to get rid of 2 zeros on each side, and the problem becomes 6 into 43, or 43.0. 6 goes into 43 7 times. That's 42. So remainder of 1. 6 goes into 10 one time. 7.1, which rounds off to 7. Or, less accurate but faster, remember estimates help you check your work. They are not a substitute for it. 42 into 3,172. They rounded this off to the hundreds place instead of the tens place, and they got 80. Okay, and here's a substitute for this one. 6 into 43 goes 7 times. All right, so let's keep moving on, and we're going to do these problems here. They give you the numbers right there, and you're going to fill them in and then work through the rest of the brackets. We'll do this first one together, so go ahead and write the work in as I'm doing the problem with you. 2,537 divide. Okay, so let's write that in. 2,537. Put that on your paper. Divided by 37. Okay, now this one we're going to round to the tens place, so we're also going to round that to the tens place. So this one over here we're going to round to 40, and then we're going to round this to 2,540. Okay, then we can chop a 0 off of each one. If I'm going too fast for you, just pause the video. And then that's 4 into 254. And then we're going to add a 0.0 on. Let's put the decimal point up on the top. 4 goes into 25 6 times. Remainder 1. 4 goes into 14 3 times. That's 12. Remainder 2. 4 goes into 25 times. Now, since that's 0.5, we're going to round the 63 up to 64. So my estimate for 37 into 2,537 is 64. The answer to this actual problem should be about 64. Okay, pause the video, fill in the problems and the answers for problems. Let's just do number 4 first. Why don't you just do 4 and then turn the video back on after you've done that problem. This first one says 3,928 divided by 427. Okay, we're going to round to the hundreds place here, so we rounded the hundreds place there. This rounds to 400. Should have written that here. And that rounds to 3,900. We're going to get rid of a couple of zeros on each one. And so this becomes 4 into 39.0. And you're going to see that once you do a few of these, they get really fast. 4 goes into 39 9 times. 9 times 4 is 36, so that's a remainder of 3. 4 goes into 30 7 times, because 7 times 4 is 28. So my estimate is 10, because 9.7 rounds to 10. Okay, so pause the video, do 5 and 6, and then turn it back on when you're ready to see the solutions. Okay, here are the problems that you should have written for 5 and 6. We're going to go ahead and do these. We're going to round this to the tens place, this to the tens place. So that rounds to 60, and this one rounds to 1,480. We can get a 0 off of each one, and we can do 6 into 148.0. 6 goes into 14 2 times. That's 12, so remainder 2. 6 goes into 28 4 times. That's 24, so we have a remainder of 4. And 6 goes into 40, let's see, 6 times, which is 36. And again, when you guys are reaching consensus, both people should have 24.6 right here, and then they both should have rounded it to 25. All the show work has to be exactly the same when you reach consensus. And your paper should look just like mine, only hopefully neater. Okay, 352, round that to the hundreds place. That would be 400. And this would round to the hundreds place as well, which would be 1,600. Get a couple of zeros off of each one. And this one's really easy because we're putting 4 into 16. We don't even need a decimal point. And that goes in about 4 times. Let's see if they got the same thing over here as we did. There we go. So thanks for watching.